The U.S. men's national team will be facing Germany and Ghana for the month of October, and the U.S. men's national team October roster is set to be announced during the first week of October, and with that, many questions come up. Will Tyler Adams be fit? Will Greg Berhalter bring his MLS favorites from the 2022 cycle? Well, we will have the answers to all of that when the official roster is out, but today I have gathered all the information possible so we can try, and you heard it, try to predict the October roster. Usually we get 2 or 3 names wrong, but for the most part, I'm usually accurate because we do have a lot of information, so we can kind of guess who will make it and who will not. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to the U.S. Men's National Team October roster prediction video. But before we start, here are some assumptions I will have to make. I'm going to assume it's a 24-man roster because that's what it was in September. I mean, it could be 23, it could be 25, who knows, but I'm just going to assume it's going to be the same amount of players we had in the September roster. It's possible roster, 1, because the opponents are very tough. These are very good opponents, Germany and Ghana. And 2, because it's the last window to prepare for the Nations League quarterfinals that will be played in November. Also, keep in mind that MLS will be in their final rounds of the regular season and 6 teams will play during the window. So I don't know if that will affect the call-ups or not. I know there aren't many MLS players that should be in the roster when it's full strength anyway, but there are a few that Berhalter loves and maybe they'll be there. So let me know what you agree with me. Let me know your roster prediction, or you can just let me know what roster would you bring while you drop a like in this video for absolutely no reason at all. Okay? Let's start the prediction. Okay, so let's start the goalkeepers, and I believe Greg Berhalter will bring 3 goalkeepers. So who are they? So one of them is pretty straightforward. That's Matt Turner from Nottingham Forest. He's our best goalkeeper, our number 1. The other 2, it's a bit tricky. I think he's going to bring Ethan Horvath, that technically is still a Nottingham Forest player, and Drake Callender for Inter Miami. But let me explain because that might be a bit off. So keep in mind that Ethan Horvath is not playing or even making the bench for Nottingham Forest at the time of this recording. I don't know if that will affect his call-up here. I think Greg will call him up. Maybe he does not call up Drake Callender to keep him with Inter Miami. If that's the case, then Gabriel Slonina would get called in. Because again, he would be taking away a player, which is Drake Callender, away from his team, and his team will play literally one day after the Ghana match. And Drake Callender's not expected to play. So I think Callender might not make it since he'll just be on the bench. He might just stay with Miami. And if that's the case, maybe he'll just bring Gabriel Slonina. But I don't know, because Slonina might also be in the Olympic camp. There's an Olympic camp coming up in October. So I'm really not sure. I'm just going to go with Turner, Horvath, and Drake Callender. It doesn't really matter too much. As long as Matt Turner is healthy, he's going to play all 180 minutes. Now, we got the fullbacks. And I believe Greg Berhalter will bring 5 fullbacks. And these are the ones I think he's going to bring. Serginho Dest from PSV is one of them. Joe Scally from Borussia Mönchengladbach would be the second right back. Then I believe he's going to bring A-Rob from Fulham, Christopher Lund from Palermo, and DeAndre Yedlin from Inter Miami. Of course, remember, Inter Miami has a game right after the Ghana match, so maybe Yedlin will be available for the Germany game, and then he'll just go home before the Ghana game. Who knows? But let me explain a few things here. So here's the thing. The last time Kevin Paredes was listed as a defender or as a fullback, he will not be in this roster as he is currently injured and out till mid-October. And even if he was available, he probably would be in the Olympic roster this month. Christopher Lund looked competent last camp as a backup left back. I'm not saying he's the clear backup of A-Rob, but he definitely earned another look, and I think Greg Berhalter might bring him. Also, another option would have been Sam Vines, and it seems like he's still injured, so he wouldn't be available. Greg Berhalter also does love bringing more than 4 fullbacks in almost every single roster. I mean, in the World Cup, he brought 4 right backs along with 1 left back, so that was a total of 5. Yes, he brought 4 right backs to the World Cup. I'm not joking. I mean, you probably remember that. And again, could DeAndre Yedlin be an option for this camp? Maybe. Not sure if the Inter Miami game will affect his selection, but I think he'll be there. Maybe Brian Reynolds can get a shot. That's another option. He's playing consistently in Belgium, and the Belgium league will stop for international break. My guess is DeAndre Yedlin will make this one, but it's more or less between Yedlin and Reynolds. The other 4 are probably locks: Dest, Scally, A-Rob, and Christopher Lund. Next up are the center backs, and I think Berhalter will bring 4 center backs for this specific camp. And they are Tim Ream from Fulham, Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, Miles Robinson from Atlanta, and Walker Zimmerman for Nashville. So another option here could be Mark McKenzie, but he is dealing with a toe injury at the time of this recording. And I also think Greg Berhalter brought Mark McKenzie over Walker Zimmerman last camp because Zimmerman was not fully fit. We also saw how Greg Berhalter clearly rated Miles Robinson over Mark McKenzie last camp. So you could also make a case for Austin Trusty, but he's not really playing in the English Premier League, so I doubt that Greg Berhalter will bring him in this time. Cameron Carter-Vickers is a great option, but he has been injured all season long for the first entire month, and he probably won't be back in time for this camp. He's played 0 games so far at the time of this recording this season. Now you might be asking, will John Brooks be there? And the answer to that is probably no. Why would he, right? Their issue is not really talent or skill. It's more of like a personal problem. I don't see that being fixed. It doesn't look like either one of them wants to fix it, or at least Greg doesn't want to fix it, so Brooks won't be there, even though he's playing well in the Bundesliga for a team like Hoffenheim that's actually doing well. They won 4 games and lost only 1 at the time of this recording. But if you're asking about Brooks, he won't be there. Don't expect him to be there. Don't expect him to ever be there so long Greg Berhalter is the U.S. men's national team coach, which means his U.S. men's national team career is probably over because he'll be too old after 2026. Which is a shame. Now let's go to the midfielders, and I believe he's going to bring 6 midfielders in this specific roster. Who are they? These are the midfielders I think he'll bring, one of them being Weston McKennie from Juventus, Yunus Musa from Milan, Luca De La Torre from Celta de Vigo, Johnny Cardoso from Internacional, Giovanni Reyna from Borussia Dortmund, and Malik Tillman from PSV. So let me explain this. It's been reported that Greg Berhalter and Gio Reyna talked, and Gio Reyna is expected to be back in this roster. I know Greg Berhalter never listed Gio as a midfielder, but Anthony Hudson and BJ Callahan did. And BJ is still part of the coaching staff that played Gio Reyna as a midfielder in Nations League. So I will be placing Gio Reyna as a midfielder in this video, even though I could see Greg Berhalter playing him on the wing, and he can play on the wing. It's just not ideal, but he can. Malik Tillman was also listed as a midfielder last camp, and he played in the midfield, so that's why I'm placing him here as a midfielder. Johnny Cardoso was called up in the last camp, but he was cut last minute due to an injury, but he is fit, he's training, he should be back for Internacional very soon, so I expect him to be there, especially because Tyler Adams is likely not going to be there. He should be a lock in the roster if he is healthy, but Tyler Adams hasn't played a game in over 6 months. And while recording this, he hasn't played a game for Bournemouth as well, not even made the bench. So Tyler will probably be in the November camp, but October, don't expect him to be there. He needs to at least make the bench for Bournemouth. Once he makes the bench, sure, bring him in. But I don't expect him to make it to this specific roster, which is okay. Okay, so after we recorded this video, it was announced that Tyler Adams will actually be back with Bournemouth this week, the week prior to the U.S. men's national team camp or roster being announced. Does that mean he will make the roster? Not necessarily. Does it increase his odds of making the roster? Yes. Do I still think he will make the roster? No. Well, I mean, I said he wouldn't. So I still think he won't. But now that he's back, I would say it's 50-50. While he wasn't back, it was pretty much a 0% chance. Okay, I just wanted to update you on that. All right, bye. Now in the September camp, Greg Berhalter did bring Ben Kremaski as one of the midfielder options, but I doubt he does that again, right? He's not USMNT quality yet. He's potentially a USMNT player in the future. It was more of a recruitment call-up because he's a dual national. Plus, if we do have an Olympic camp this month, which we do, that's where Ben Kremaski should be. Okay, now let's go to the wingers, and I actually think he's only going to bring 3, and I'll explain to you why. So the 3 wingers I think he's going to bring are Christian Pulisic from Milan, Tim Weah from Juventus, and Brendan Aronson from Union Berlin. And why is that? Well, Taylor Booth is still injured. He would have been an option for the wing. I don't think Greg Berhalter will call up Jordan Morris or Paul Riola. I think he's moved on from those players when it comes to A rosters. I think. And I hope. One other option could have been Paxton Aronson. He can play on the wing, but I expect him to be with the Olympic roster that month. Kevin Paredes would have been another option for the wing, but he's injured and he's out till mid-October, and he also probably should be with the Olympic roster if healthy. Now, Malik Tillman and Gio Reyna can also play on the wing, so there's no need to bring 4 or 5 wingers when you already have 2 other players in the midfield that can also play there. So I think he's going to bring 3 official wingers, and instead of bringing only 2 center forwards, he'll bring 3 this time, Last camp, we only had Balogun and Pepe, but this one, I think he's bringing one more center forward. So who are the center forwards? To me, 2 of them are locks. If healthy, that would be floating Balogun and Ricardo Pepi. And the number 3, I think he's going to bring Jesus Ferreira from FC Dallas back to the national team. You see, Sargent is injured, so he's not available. Haji Wright, in my opinion, in regards to Greg Berhalter, he's probably rated lower than Jesus. Pifok hasn't been called up in a while, hasn't been that good for Gladbach so far, so I don't think Greg will bring him. But again, as I said, I think Pepe and Balogun are the easy picks here if healthy. Jesus is someone that is Greg's favorite. He loves, he likes, and understands Greg's system. The system that Greg loves so much. I think Jesus will be back. The one question that remains here is Greg Berhalter in the last camp brought Kate Cow and Ben Kremaski, which were just called in due to potential. Could he do that this camp as well? And the answer to that is maybe. The reason I didn't include any young prospects in this speculation video is because we didn't have in the September camp an Olympic roster as well. This time we will. So I think all the young players will be there. All the young prospects will be in the Olympic camp. That is why I didn't include any of them in this video. So I think Jesus, Balogun, and Pepe will be the 3 center forwards. Yeah, we just haven't gotten rid of Jesus yet. He'll probably be in the roster. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to let me know your roster in the comment section down below. And if you agree with my predictions, do they sound reasonable? And do you think Gio Reyna will actually be back? I think he will. I think that should be done by now, the Reyna Berhalter saga. But thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Drop a like before you go. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.